Well, welcome to another patch breakdown video. If you are watching this, it means you are one of our loyal patrons. And I say it every time, but I mean it every time. We appreciate you guys in ways that we cannot express. Everything that we do is modular. Seattle, it is not possible without community support. So you guys are awesome. Today, we have Demetrius Patin. Did I pronounce your last name correctly? Patin?
Yep, Patin.
Oh,
Patin. I say
excellent. So we have Demetrius Patin here. He played the last Mod Nights, the October 3rd Mod Nights. Great night all around. Like, one of the best we've had in a while. Like, everyone just fucking brought it. But yeah, I mean, Demetrius, thank you so much for being here, man. Really appreciate having you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, I feel like, modular and synthesizers, it's such a journey for all of us, and it's always so different. And I feel like you are one of the few artists that I know of personally who, like, you have a sound. Like, you have your signature sound, and every time you play, I can always count on beautiful, like, Blade Runner melodies and just these dream-like aggressive synth textures, and it's like you have a sound and it's always good, and I'm always excited for it.
I mean, that's it's funny.
So do you feel that way? Do you feel like you have like? Oh, excellent. That's good. We're on the same wavelength. So just like out of curiosity, I'll throw you an easy question, or maybe not so much of an easy question, but just give me like influences. Like what influences your sound, the Demetrius sound?
Oh, like it's gonna be all over the place. Like my biggest,
I love it.
One of my biggest influences musically. It's really kind of randomly out there, but there's the Pat Metheny group, which is a strange old one. It's a jazz guitarist that kind of what spawned into world music. Our believe it or not, my marching band when I was in high school marched to this stuff in 7/8 and 5/8 and stuff. We were doing all kind of crazy stuff like that. So like watching the things like kind of parts of like a watch, you know, where one thing's ticking and another thing is filling the holes, but making it all like mathematically but beautiful is just really, really fun.
Oh man, I mean, that, like, hearing you say that just makes so much sense, because especially with like your melodies and the way you construct melodies and counter melodies, when I hear it, I like rhythm too. And so so hearing you say that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, no, let's jump in. Let's jump into this a little bit. I'm curious, the gear.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm at home. So I decided to use everything.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
Okay.
I mean, I had ideas. I was, instead of kind of doing what we would normally do and pare down because you got to move it, I decided to kind of like, I'd have an idea, and then I'd take that from this, and then that from this, and kind of grab a little bit from everywhere. Like, I basically used all electron boxes. The rhythm I didn't use. I just made that black. Awesome. I love the thing so much. But yeah, everything else. I mean, I had these little ideas kind of floating around in all the machines, and then basically clocked them all together and keyed them all together and just started melding in between them.
Wow. So let me ask then, since you're using everything, where did you start? When you were constructing this set, where did you start?
So I want to say the first thing I started with was I saw somebody post something about a Radiohead cover that I started the set with. That it's not a cover. It's again the that kind of beautiful melody to a offbeat time signature, which is very Radiohead, but definitely not a cover. But I started. Yeah. A couple weeks ago got that programmed in the sequencer on the Matrix Brute.
Okay.
Where I kind of do
I
like.
didn't realize that had its own sequencer. That's cool.
Oh, the sequencer is great. It's great. And the cool thing on it, which I didn't do it on this patch, but I've done in the past, where it actually has a mode where you can basically split the synth into two, and half of it is connected to the sequencer, and the other half you can play. So the other three oscillators, it uses one for that, and the other two. So it's Matrix Brutes are great. It's awesome. It's so deep.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You can do so much with that. My God. Like you could do like a whole set, like a whole ambient thing, like with just the Matrix Brute.
Easy. Like, I mean, I can go this here, it was actually this little thing that we were showing before. I got everything clocked from the Octatrack.
Okay.
So let's go here. And I kind of start here just with it. It's set up fairly dark. It's so hard with the presets knowing exactly how I have it set, because knobs turn, but you don't see where you're at.
Oh, yeah. That's my issue with presets on analog synths especially. It's like not knowing where the knob is actually turned.
But I think it's all primarily pulse width square waves.
Okay.
Just with going through both filters, some like noise. I think I have noise hitting the filter cutoff on both the filters, and it's
nice. So it's like this really grady like frequency modulation going on.
Yeah, it's just slight though, just enough to kind of give it that kind of ghostly kind of sound.
Right.
And you can kind of hear here, and like I have the mod wheel hooked up to just to one of the envelopes, so that as I roll it on, it actually lowers the filter, but adds a little bit of a modulation for the filter.
Oh, interesting.
You can roll it on at once, because that whole matrix is great. It's like a modular synth basically, just with buttons.
Right, just like on a grid.
Yeah. There's
Hey, puppy.
He wants to be in the video.
I also have a dog that needs to be the star of the show, so I feel that.
Yeah, you can kind of hear here, like I kind of have and I think I have it going through the just a mono delay that I think I have it at like 8 notes.
Okay.
Too. And,
gotcha.
I have one of the little macros here. It actually shows you your modulation. I have the macros actually controlling. Might be out of the shot here, but it's. How do I have this? Just controlling the filter cutoffs and a couple, just things that you would do with like 5 different hands. Just
right.
So as I turn this macro, you almost start to get a second rhythm as you roll onto it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's incredible.
And I love varying those upper, almost using like a higher oscillator as like to like enforce upper harmonics. So when you're rolled off, it's completely gone. But then as you roll in, you start to get more of it, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, dude! The way you're like layering oscillators and like using the filter to bring them in and out, and like the way you're like adding all this modulation plus the delay, it's like already we're like barely into this, but already you created something like incredibly complex and like very timbrally rich.
Yeah, rich is the word. There's definitely a physical attribute that I don't know if that makes any sense, but like a physical attribute to sound that if it's not there, I don't like it. I need it to have weight. I need it to fill a space, and I need it to kind of have that like almost like you can feel it, that kind of texture, that nice like.
Oh my God! No, that's exactly it. Like you feel this sound, like it feels like it sounds like something that's tangible, you know, even though it's not.
And that's when I know there's definitely digital synths that are great. There is something about analog stuff that just especially when it's loud and it hits a speaker, it just sounds like it doesn't sound like electronic. It sounds like actual just sound being created, and that's you know what I mean?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And like honestly, just hearing you say that, and I'm thinking back to like other sets you've played, like at Mott's and Mod Nights, and just like hearing you say what you like in a sound, like everything in like all of a sudden makes sense. Because it's like I feel like these are the things that create the Demetrius sound, you know?
And it's funny. Everyone's gonna have their sound based on what they like and what they can do and what they have. You know, it's funny because I never really think about it. You kind of just do. Stuff based on learning something, right? So you figure something out, then you're like, oh, that's cool. I need to use that now.
Right. No, totally. And it's like you don't think about it. Like these are just the things that you like, and so naturally you gravitate towards.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy because it's like this is just the Matrix Brute, and like I feel like you've like so many other sounds. So keep going. Like walk us through some other stuff that's going on in this set because there's a lot. There's a lot to break down. It is really sonically dense, which I love.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, with this part of the set. Oh, you know what? The one part I forgot is the grandmother. I had a whole lead in. I'll even stop the Matrix Brute. It's so fun clocking everything from the Octatrack. I've done that. It's like,
sure, it makes it so easy.
Yeah. What I ended up doing was I have the grandmother wired into the modular in two paths. I have one.
Okay.
So basically, the basic patch on it is a pulse width modulated airwave on the second oscillator and a saw wave on the first oscillator, and then it's synced. And I have what do I have here? I just have the sine wave coming out of the modulation source, going through the attenuator, just attenuating it a little bit, and then that going into that second oscillator to give a little bit of movement.
Man.
Filter rolled off a bit. And
no, I mean you say it's basic, but I find it so interesting the way you like just create all these subtle movements inside of. I mean, you kind of were describing this a little bit with the Matrix Brute as well. Like you're creating all these subtle things that just give the sound that much more weight.
Right, it just kind of it gives it a little bit of life, right? Instead of just being
life.
Obviously, like a square wave, like you just hit that and that's dry. You know, a straight sine wave is just dry. It's great, but it's just dry. And when you can do something kind of like shape it a little bit, it's nice.
Totally. Yeah, so but anyways, continue.
Yeah, so I have that going out through the Eurorack out into. I have to even remember. That's going into the cutting room floor.
Oh, shout out Recovery Effects.
Oh yeah, shout out. And that's coming out into the second channel of my duet here. And then I have the 1/4 inch out going. I don't know if you can see these here. Actually, that's going out into 3 pedals, where I have it going into a what is this? Electro-Harmonix flat iron fuzz. And it's actually kind of weird. I just figured this out. So like run into the fuzz, and it's basically dimed. Like everything's just dimed. That's coming out into a memory boy on the chorus setting.
Okay.
And then I'm going out of the memory boy into a Friedman, which is he's like amazing amplifiers. I have a couple of them here. Amazing like guitar amps, just like straight rock and roll. But he has his flagship amp is called the BE, like the Brown Eye, and it's amazing. This is a pedal. That amp and a pedal, basically.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
I would have never thought. I just looked over like, I need another distortion. I'm like, I have that. I'm going to try it. So I basically ran that through here. And you know what? It works really, really well. So now I actually have 2 separate sounds one of which is a little washier than the other. And basically,
Right.
I'm using the duet to just to mix them out into my mixer, my Eurorack mixer, where it's
Oh,
it's
okay.
being split to to Monsoon, and I have it just on the what's that, Parasites, the reverb going on there.
Wow. That's
So
crazy. So we're using the duet. I mean, if I understand what you're saying, using the duet, you can kind of turn both sounds, up and down, or mix them together, and then they're going into the monsoon.
exactly.
Um,
So like just in the cool thing is with the chorus being so aggressive because it's being basically pushed by this fuzz. It alone, like no sound is coming out of the grandmother, but if I turn up that one,
Ooh.
you get this nice washy sound.
Oh, that's the sound the set started with. That
Yeah,
that
that's
wash.
basically. I mean, check this out. I'm gonna unplug it from the beginning of my pedal chain.
Mhm.
You kind of lose the signal, but it's the wash is still there because there's so much distortion.
Oh, and especially going through the monsoon too, it's gonna extend that, wash that sound out even more and extend it. That's so crazy. Because it's funny because you were describing all that, and I'm like, how did just like a gross brick of sound? But the monsoon, is definitely a huge help with that.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
weird. I mean, it's
'Cause yeah,
the funny thing is you would think it would just be this wall of like unusable noise, and it actually
yeah.
came out very, very fuzzy with not. Oh, there's a lot of bass controls and other stuff on the brown eye pedal, so
Mm.
you can tighten up like your guitar and stuff like that. And I was actually able to roll off a lot of the low end on that too
Oh,
to keep it just
that
like just
definitely helps. That
yeah.
definitely helps. Because yeah, I feel like when the set started with that sound, I loved the way it transitioned from that into like the melody. Like I
Yes,
thought that
that
worked
was the
really
Matrix.
well.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, and especially because like the sound you have with the Matrix Brute, it feels so, for lack of a better term, like grounded. Whereas that sound you're making for the grandmother, like you said, is a lot more washed out, spacey. So, and especially like the way you structured it, it's like we're starting up there in space, up in the sky, we're all washed out. But then as your set progresses, it like kind of brings us
Right. You kind
back
of
down
got
to
that
earth.
rise in the middle, right? Where there's like this
Yeah.
that low end is really like, yeah, it just kind of comes through. Then as you roll that filter up on the Matrix Brute, it kind of like it takes over and is that
Yeah.
becomes like the
Well, and then eventually you bring drums in, and that really like, bam, like we're tight, like we're grounded, like that. I felt like, uh, I mean, like up until that point, I mean, the set was, what am I trying to say? Like, I don't want to say it felt like loosely constructed because it everything felt
I mean, it
very
is
tied
though.
together and very intentional. But the drums really, I felt like, brought it all home and like was the glue that kept everything together. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, it's
Keep
fine.
keep talking. I'm so interested in everything that you're doing. So go ahead, keep going.
So I mean, basically from there, yeah, basically started out. Obviously, like, we're talking with the washed out sound from the grandmother, and then Matrix Brute comes in, and drums on this are they are some, I forget if they're 808 or 909 uh, samples in the Octatrack.
If I had to guess, I was gonna guess 909
Yeah, I
actually.
think a little bit punchier, a little clickier.
Yeah, this is just me, but the 808's trash. 909 forever, baby. Like,
909 is tight. It's like it's again, it's the thing I love. And when I started really playing with the synthesizers, and first thing I use when you hear a kick like with speaker the way like these analog kicks can do, get that click and pop, and it just feels like an actual instrument.
Yeah.
Samples are great. It's just that they're so sharp and tight.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. Well, and like what I love too about, I mean, while we're still talking about the drum beat, um, what I loved about your drum beat is it was a very simple, straightforward drum beat. You know, it wasn't anything too crazy, but then you allowed all of the complicated rhythmic stuff to happen in the synth voices.
Well, it
Uh,
kind of both. So here, I'll get the patch going again. So this pattern is crazy. So it's like, honestly, it's like, it's a weird pattern. It almost sounds like it's in 4, but it's not.
I know. I'm trying to figure out what the time signature is.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah, so it's like 5 then 6 almost. So the first beat I made, I went straight prog on it, and I love it. But it comes in like this. I'll probably catch it. It's crazy, right? And so I have 3 patterns I made, and I wanted to get the kind of spacey, the one where it actually is it's staying in loop with the matrix group, and then I slowly transfer over to straight 4/4, where I let the matrix group phase over the 4, or the 4 phase over the whatever it is. So it basically, this is the next pattern. And that's kind of an in-between.
Yeah.
So the beat starts to flip around.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so subtle. That is so subtle. But
I literally sat, like, especially setting up the pattern links and stuff like that on the matrix group, on the Octatrack. I was literally laying on my couch over here like, crap. How many times does this have to go before that one catches back up? But yeah, it's kind of fun. If something is not complicated for the sake of being complicated, but complicated so that you could do something with it, that's like absolutely the best thing.
Dude, yeah. I mean,
the Pyramid Song from Radiohead is like a great like explanation of that. Like, it's stuff like that where it's like, it's not off-putting because it's in a strange time. It's in a strange time because that's what the melody is, if that makes
sense. Well, it's like, it's a really tough thing to do. Like, when you're in complex time signatures like that, it's really hard to do it in such a way that feels natural. Yeah. Like, I feel like most of the time I listen to a song that has a strange time signature, I catch it immediately. Right. But with Radiohead, as you pointed out, it's like I don't notice. Like everything in its right place. It took me probably like 10 years to realize, like, oh shit, this isn't 10/4. Crazy. Or like with your set, like now that you're breaking it all down, it seems so obvious. But in the moment when I was listening to it during the show, I was like, yeah, this is like very straightforward. I love it, you know. But it's like
I mean, the only reason to strictly stick to 4/4 is to make it easier to consume because everyone is used to 4/4. But I just, to me, the big thing with odd time signatures, especially odd time signatures, is the idea of being able to end a phrase at the beginning of the phrase. It's great.
Oh my God,
you're just keeps going.
Yeah, you're speaking to the music theory percussionist nerd inside me, man. This is I love that. And like, it's something that I've never really been able to pull off super well, just because like when I make music, I don't like thinking too hard. So like I'm very impressed with how you pull that off, because like that transition too, like from the 5/6, you know, to the 4/4, like that is some expert level shit, man. That's like some Jedi mind tricks. That's so sick.
And the cool thing too is when, like, as part of it, and it was completely intentional with, as again, like burying those higher frequencies on the Matrix Brute as that's getting rolled up, and you start to hear that higher pitch. And also, when you're hearing the higher pitch, you're hearing it that filter snap a little bit more, so you kind of get a rhythm over there. And then this is holding the rhythm while that's not there. But as the Matrix Brute starts making its own rhythm apparent, this just starts to do the 4/4, because then you can actually hear the two, and you get that roll.
God damn, that's so fucking sick. That that blows me away. That blows me away. And it worked. Like, it was so effective, in the set. Like, those transitions were so smooth. Like, you would think something like that would be jarring, but like the way you blend these together, like every single element, like from down to the timbres of the sound you're using, they're all like working together in such an interesting way that like makes all these transitions so smooth. And like, I gotta tip my hat off to you, man. Like, that shit is not easy to pull off. So, like, that's incredible.
It's I like it, I guess. So I keep doing it. The more I do it, the easier it gets to do. It's easy to screw it up. It's really easy to screw it up, and it becomes a jumbled mess of like nothing.
Oh.
So you gotta make sure there's a focal point.
Totally. If you're not like on top of like the counting. Yeah, no, totally. And like for the listener too, like, me as the listener, like having that focal point definitely helps from keeping it to be something more like incomprehensible. But like, you also just got to be like super on top of like when you're playing the set, you got to be like hella on top of the counting and the beat. So like that in itself is like a whole nother skill that needs to be developed. So that's crazy.
You have to, like internalize the phrase. That's all it is. Like, you go odd time signatures instead of like just counting your beats. I know what the phrase is, so everything within. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow.
So that was the opening section of my set. Was
jeez, that was just the opening section. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. That's just the opening section, and already like it's so dense. Okay, well then let's keep diving in a little bit, because you kind of walked through the Matrix Brute and the grandmother and a little bit of the way you're processing it, but I'm very curious as to like what else is going on with the modular specifically.
Okay, so basically the next thing, let me even think. So it was more of drum stuff with. Oh, this is all A4 and Octatrack actually for the most part. And I was doing lead with the grandmother.
Oh, okay.
So
but that lead sounds fantastic.
Let's see. Let's go here. Here. Yeah. I'm trying to remember now. Okay. Yeah. So it's basically in here, and I think on this one, I think I routed the kick and snare through the analog heat.
Yeah, that heat makes it sound incredible.
Why am I not getting anything? Because I'm on the wrong patch, that's why. Oh, man. Embarrassing.
Sorry, just in case.
I know what I'm doing. I'm here. This is where I'm at. So, yeah, so I'm over here. And meanwhile, this guy's still singing. And that's the grandmother.
Oh, that's so good again.
And then I roll up the other side of that. And I can get some.
Ooh. That's it. portamento on the lead, like really, that what gets me, man. That slight pitch bending is
and the whipping,
beautiful.
I love it where it's just like that wash where it just like slides up and down. And if there's a signature thing, that's definitely something I do in almost every. I don't think there's been a performance that I've not had a lead part. And it's funny because I never thought about like not doing it. It's just like, oh, this part needs something over it. I'll set up a lead. And this actually might be the first set I've ever put together that I haven't used the bad comrade. That's normally my go-to.
Really?
Oh yeah. So I figured out this really cool trick that with the bad comrade, right when you start to cut off the fundamental, it makes this like broken cable sound. Then it'll just cut out. So I'll use my Tetra pad normally. I mean, this is totally something different I didn't do this time.
No, I love it. I'm fascinated.
Yeah, so I'll use the Tetra pad, to control pitch, and then use the pressure to open the filter. And I'll like use some sort of attenuator to kind of like make it so it's a comfortable amount. And I'll put the filter, and I'll also have the filter follow like track basically, so that it'll work for the most part up and down the keyboard. But then as you hit the pressure, you almost start to use the filter like a VCA, like this broken VCA.
Oh shit!
So it kind of like cuts in and out. I didn't use it this time, but
but it's just like a little bit of like glitchiness.
Yeah, but yeah, this one, and that's this. I just have a few parts where this thing just grooves. Like this, I just love. And now that's all this A4.
Dude, that when you bring that lead in, that was probably my favorite part of the set, because then it just I don't know, that's when the groove really clicked with me with that melody, that lead.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like I've kind of recently fallen back in love with the A4. I originally got it in the Octatrack for my kind of industrial band Death Coach, but barely scratched the surface of what it could do. We didn't really need it for a whole lot, but
right.
I'm finally figuring out what it can do and how subtle it can be too. So it's really nice. And just kind of getting the electron groove. Definitely, this is the first set I've done that really grooves and moves. Everything else has been very orchestrated and
okay, that's actually what I was gonna say, and like one of the first things I thought when I heard your set, because I was thinking back specifically, I think last summer you played a modular on the spot, and then maybe like a few months before COVID we had you at a Mod Nights, and I was thinking back to like both of those sets, and I remember not being drums, and I
think there were on both, but it was all just DFAM stuff, but it was very like
yes,
more rhythmic than drums. It wasn't just like kicking, right? It wasn't like heavy kicking or anything like that.
Like I felt like the drums were just kind of there, but the real stuff of the show was like the harmonic and melodic stuff you were doing. Like you said, it was very and very like sci-fi-esque, and they sounded huge. Like those sets sounded huge without drums. And so it's like this set, it was like like you were saying, the first time I've heard a set from you that had that beauty, but then they really elevates a whole other thing. It's like, damn, I've heard this set at the substation. Like, it would have knocked, man.
Yeah, I had it bumping in here. I mean, you could see I was definitely hitting the meter pretty hard, but I also was doing it for effect too, because I love when you get that harmonic on the camera, using my phone for the camera and seeing it vibrate. It's just fun.
So it's like But now wait, that monitor or that little number counter behind you, what is that? I know people during the stream, they're in chat asking about it, and I don't quite remember if you addressed it, but what is that?
It's a dB meter, so it's got a little mic on it, and it's just
that's makes a lot of sense. Okay. I was the whole time, what the fuck is that? Like, I was like, it's obviously not a BPM counter. It's like not like a frequency thing. Okay, it's a decibel. That makes sense. So I don't quite remember at any point in the set, do you pair that defib with the drums from the Octatrack?
I didn't. Only because they're clock separate.
That's crazy.
For this set, I don't have the Octatrack clocking in to the modular at all. Probably could have easily.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Octatrack clocking the Matrix Root and the A4, and then everything else. Basically, everything modular is being clocked from the Tempe.
Wow, that's crazy, actually. Like, I mean, that's nice too, because then you kind of have these like different elements, of the patch. Like you have like, okay, the Octatrack, exactly. Oh man, but it's like again, like the way you have all these things going on, but like the way you like progressed and moved through the set, I thought was so seamless and so perfect. Like every part was a perfect progression from the previous part, and
I did everything completely out of order, but liked it better. So my wife was trying to get me to read.
Oh, really?
Like this.
I mean, that's the spirit of like just making synthesizer music, right? It's like you have an idea and then it's just different, as is the nature of modular and shit like that.
Then I basically. Defam's going. This guy was ripping, right?
God, yeah. I can't get enough of that sound.
Basically, roll this off. We just got the defam going in just the drone here. And I add my second Mother 32. The pattern is 5. I'm off on time. Again, it's that like everything kind of fitting together.
No, totally.
It's fun when you actually end up getting so many patterns that you just have straight 8 notes.
Yeah. And it's like it is. That it's very complex, but like to the listener, it's like, oh, it's just 8 notes, but it's like we know it's complicated, And
then I start to. I have the output of my tilt here, my new tilt module from after later. I have basically what do you call that stuff? Unidirectional. I have it just kind of like modulating the filter a little bit. I almost get like this weird delay sound.
Oh, interesting.
Meanwhile, I keep trying to get that bass line going.
God, I love that you're just playing all that off the Tetrapad.
I love this thing so much. So it's really technical. I mean, really, it was just, oh, you know what? Something I actually forgot about. It seemed like it built up. So, with this guy, I actually have, back to the grandmother, I have it actually. Yeah, it's going This thing also is amazing. I'd seen it at Bathurst a lot, like years ago. That's another filter or whatever. It's like doing it. I don't know what it is about it.
No, yeah, I've heard from people that, I mean, I don't have one, but I have, eyed that one for a while. And I have heard from people it's like a budget Q pass.
Yeah. I haven't even like when you get something and like it doesn't do anything for you, so you go to the manual and try to like see if you like it.
Yeah.
That's how this is. That's really like. The idea for the patch was to get something this complicated and to keep it grooving. So you kind of had to like, this is where like the whole toxic thing gets difficult. I failed at it right now, but once you get everything synced up, then I was going in between playing in 4 and playing in 5.
Oh, jeez.
But it's kind of cool because you don't notice it.
Yeah.
Kind of keep it from phasing if you skip a beat, then like, but yeah, I mean, at that point, it's all just performance, so it's actually like,
no, totally.
That's substantially crazier. Like my last modular night set, one like February, that one had some crazy math stuff going on. This one was like, it all kind of fell together because I was like, instead of trying to like eke every little ounce out of everything I had, I kind of had like ideas. I was able to go directly to the thing I wanted because it's at my house. But yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's pretty much it. It just adds some performance to it. Wish I danced more when I was doing it.
Dang, I mean that's crazy. It's like, I mean, you got the timbres sounding fat. You got all the sounds just sounding so in your face, and they're also full. And then you got the melodies, which are just beautiful. You got the rhythms. It just, and the way, like, I mean, like we've been saying, the way you're fitting in all these like complex rhythms together in such a seamless, unnoticeable way, it's incredible. It's incredible. So man, I'm blown away, man. I mean, and it, like I enjoyed your set, when I listened to it on Saturday, but now kind of hearing more of the thought process and the logic behind it, now I'm just like,
it's basically like, it's not the most complicated thing, but it's for everything. It's actually a pretty easy set to mess up, which is why I didn't want to go back and redo it. Because I was like, oh man, I actually got that right. And I think,
yeah, no, totally. Especially if you're trying to count through all the stuff and handle so many different instruments at once. But man, I mean, you did a hell of a job. Like I thought it sounded amazing, and just the construction of it and just the way you put it together is just super impressive to me. So yeah, man, nice work. Well, Demetrius, thank you again so much for taking some time to kind of walk us through this and explain. I'm really happy I got to see how this was deconstructed. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch your set, with all this knowledge and have more of an appreciation for it. Not that I didn't already. But yeah, man, nice work. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
I absolutely appreciate it. It was fun. Very, very fun.